Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Paulson, one of the things that we're looking into here with the AIG, can you explain to me, is AIG and their financial products, was that a subsidiary of AIG, or was that part of their business model?
I believe it was part of the business model.
It wasn't a separate entity that was separately capitalized.
It was clearly at the holding company, and it was part of. It wasn't part of an insurance business model, but it was sure part of the company's business strategy.
Because it makes a big difference. If it's not part of the insurance part of the company and it's a subsidiary that's separately capitalized, you can let that thing go down and it doesn't impact the insurance part of it, which I believe it was. Is that not correct?
Well, I would say this to you. This company was so big and intertwined that it was, if there was any way that the people who were working on this could have found a way to just hive off and let one small part of the company go
Would
down.
the gentleman suspend? Mr. Paulson, excuse me. We want to make sure that members can hear your testimony. And, you know, it's amazing with so much money in this federal government, we don't have a better sound system. But I'm going to need you to speak as closely to that mic as you can so everyone can hear you. Thank you. You make it.
To just be clear, there was no way to hive off and handle the situation differently. There was a very few days to act to prevent bankruptcy, with no wind-down powers to let this company be liquidated and avoid bankruptcy.
Well, with all due respect, if it's a separate entity, a subsidiary, it could go down and the rest of it could still stand on its own, sir. But that being another, let me move on here with another question very quickly. In Secretary Geithner's testimony, he indicated that he felt that contractually the contracts that we had with the investments that were made by foreign banks into AIG that they were involved with need to be adhered to and worked with. Was the government a part of those contracts?
As I've said in my testimony, I had no involvement with the payment of any of those contracts. I just was not involved in that matter.
So the government wasn't a party to the contracts then?
But
the government wasn't party to the contracts.
Again, this was not something that I was directly involved in. I've said that I very much trust the motives and the abilities and the judgments of the people that made those decisions, but I wasn't party to them, and I can't answer that question.
Well, that's one of the frustrations, and I appreciate your candor, but it's my frustration with the chair in that we don't get full testimony and be able to get all the questions answered, asked and then answered, so we can come to you with what we feel is good information to be able to get some good back and forth here. So I apologize to you. Let me move on to something else. I know right now we're looking at, and the President's proposed some too big to fail sort of strategies to try and address the issue of too big to fail. Where are you in this debate? What do you think about the proposal that's on the table right now, sir?
When I was Secretary of the Treasury, I put out a regulatory blueprint, and I still believe that is the way to go. I am I think it's essential that we have wind-down authorities, resolution authorities, so that any financial organization, no matter how big, can be liquidated outside of the bankruptcy process without taking down the rest of the economy. And so I think that is essential, and there are some parts of the proposals that are up here being debated by Congress which are the same as in the regulatory blueprint we put forward, a big one being the systemic risk regulator, and I'm strongly in favor of a systemic risk regulator.
Do you believe that we need to take the risk investments that are part of many of the big banks right now and take them off the books and set up a separate subsidiary for this, so we can sort of go back to a Glass-Steagall firewall there?
That is not my recommendation. I believe that when you look at the crisis, what I saw in the crisis was it was across a number of types of financial institutions, and the excessive risk taking I saw was not limited to one business activity. It was much broader than that, and I think we need a broader approach. And so, again, what I favor is a systemic risk regulator and wind-down authorities is the way I would handle that.
Well, one of the problems I have with that, with what you're suggesting, sir, is that suddenly now we have the taxpayers through FDIC insurance on the hook for these risk takers who are out here. I think it's important that we take these things off the books and have a subsidiary that if it goes down, it goes down, and the banks and the insurance funds and the taxpayers as a whole are not on the hook for all this. I think it's very important we go down that road, because I think what you've done with AIG is suddenly use the federal government as the official underwriter of all investments in the world. If we're underwriting foreign contracts, investments, what have we done? We've gone down that road, and I appreciate your comments.